Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to British versus American versus Australian English differences. And yeah, I mean, I always say I feel like Australia is a mixture of British and American English together, because I know they do use some British English words and some American English words, but I feel like overall that's just what I say, but I could be completely wrong, and I guess this video could sort of prove that, disprove that, or prove me right. But yeah, I guess we're going to see if that's the case, and also just differences in general. But I always find the language videos interesting just because it's just fascinating to see the differences of people speaking the same language but in their own way, if that makes any sense. But we're going to check this out. Hopefully going to enjoy. Links are also in the description to my Patreon. Oh, links are in the description to my Patreon if you want to see some more of my reactions. But let's jump into this.
Hi, I'm Christina and I'm from the USA.
Hello, I'm Lauren and I'm from the UK.
Hi, I'm Grace and I'm from Australia.
That's annoying me because it's British, American, English, but she's American, she's British. It should have, oh, god damn it.
I think.
Oh, I need to move this up, I think. Make it a bit smaller.
I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
At least for Australia, we tend to really shorten our words. So what would be a regular word in perhaps British English or American English, Australians just cut half of it off.
That's
We're
true.
lazy.
I think maybe some of ours might be similar compared to American, but definitely like garbage and rubbish is the immediate one that comes to my brain.
Definitely.
I think the US will be a little bit different than you guys. Maybe you guys will have some of the similar vocabulary. But I've heard like Australian words, some are just like totally different, right?
Yeah.
I've heard some Australian words, I'm like, I never heard that before. But there's some words in the UK I've heard before, but I'm always learning new Australian words. So.
But to be fair, we do take a lot of American words because we watch a lot of American TV.
So I'm kind of right, because I think British and American, I think I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
Cooking.
Maybe we'll be more similar than you think.
Maybe, let's find out.
Maybe the odd one out again.
In the US, we would call that French fries.
You'd kind of say that here as well.
In the UK, we say chips.
In Australia, we also call them chips, but hot chips.
Hot chips?
Yeah, hot chips. Because we have chips and chips. You've got to be.
Well, yeah, but I'd say fries for these and then chips for the thicker ones. The chunky ones are the chips.
Specific.
Okay.
What about like potato chips? Do you just call it chips?
Chips.
And then that's hot chips?
But if you want to be specific, they're hot chips.
Oh, okay. But what if it's like in the fridge from like the night before and it's cold?
Cold
Maybe
chips.
Cold chips.
I didn't think about that. Chips that will soon be
I've just
hot
realised
once-
it's. Oh, for God's sake, I'm blocking it out again. For God's sake. I'm so sorry. Oh, this is a mess, man.
Yeah. I got you. In the US,
Candy
we
floss.
call this cotton candy. Oh, sorry, my accent's coming out. Cotton candy.
Yeah, in the UK, we say candy floss.
In Australia, we call this fairy floss.
So cute!
So cute.
It sounds so cute.
Because it looks like it's made by fairies.
That's so sweet.
Actually, when I saw the picture, that was the first word that came into my brain was cotton candy,
Cotton
and then I was like,
candy.
wait,
Really?
what do we say?
Yeah.
Where am I from again?
Where am I from?
You hear cotton candy a lot.
Yeah. No, we just use fairy floss.
Fairy
So
floss.
cute. I've never heard that before, but I've heard of candy floss, but
Fairy floss probably makes. No, I mean it's candy. It is a sweet, but we don't say candy in the UK. So the fact that we call it candy floss is so weird. We're such a weird country because we don't call anything candy. Candy is not a word that's used other than for candy floss.
Fairy floss is so cute.
It's so sweet.
Flip-flops or sandals.
Okay, in the US, we would call that like flip-flops, flippy floppies. No, not flippy floppies.
Flippy floppy.
It's like from that song, you know? I got my flippy floppies.
No, I don't know.
Flip-flops.
In the UK, we also say flip-flops.
In Australia, we call these thongs. Because you know, it's like
I knew
the
it.
thong for your foot, thong for your butt.
That kind of makes sense to be fair because they're like thin. They are kind of the shape of a thong on the shoes in a sense.
It's the same.
But how would you like, oh, sorry, I gotta grab my phone really quick.
Well,
What would you think? Would you think those
just
thongs
Well,
or
we-
the other thong?
Well, we would say thongs is the plural is for your feet because you never wear more than one.
Wait, what if you were
thong.
like on the beach and then
And
you
you've got
lost
just
one
a
and you're like,
thong.
wait, I lost
Oh,
my
it's my
thong.
thong. I mean, we like to live life on the edge
Okay,
in
yeah.
Australia, so.
In our countries, a thong is a type of underwear with the same shape as the flip-flop string, so
Yeah, yeah.
it makes sense.
It
but
does.
It could be confusing if we came to
Yeah.
Australia.
I'm just gonna go buy some thongs, like, oh, just put my thongs on. go
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
beach.
If you said that in the US, it would definitely mean like the underwear.
Yeah, same.
Thongs.
Maybe it means both. You never know.
Trainers?
So in the US, we would call it sneakers.
In the UK, we would
Wait,
say
aren't sneakers... Wait, I'm going to move this back up, by the way, because you can see it anyway, so you don't need to see it. It pops up. I thought sneakers are the sports shoes. Like, I thought sneakers are like what you would wear, like if you're an athlete. Like American footballers will wear them like to keep them in the ground. Aren't they sneakers? Or do you use that as an interchangeable word? I say interchangeable because I guess these are kind of sporty in a sense, but...
say trainers, or we have like a million words for it, but trainers, I would say.
If they're more like a branded, like a fancy pair, we would say sneakers, but for general running shoes, we just call them joggers.
Ah, because you train in them and you jog in them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What about
Or you sneak in them.
what about these though? Like not
do we
these,
call
but
it sneakers?
joggers, jogging bottoms.
Oh, you guys call
We call them joggers.
everything's pants.
Ah, okay.
Pants.
Or trackies.
Same, yeah. In the US, gas station.
Petrol
In the UK,
station.
petrol station.
In Australia, we call this a servo.
That is the shortened version again.
Oh, sir.
It's like a service station.
Service station.
Okay.
But nobody has time to say service station, so we just call it a servo.
You like to keep things short.
Yeah.
Huh?
I knew she was gonna say something like weird. It's cool.
I like it. I like
yeah.
it. I love Australian words. They're
Yeah.
pretty cool, you know? Make it short. Gas station is such a
Servo.
mouthful, right? Okay.
Cinema.
In the US, we would call it a movie theater.
In the UK, we would call it cinema.
In Australia, we call it movies.
Sometimes in the US, I would also say, oh, me and my friends are going to the movies.
Yeah.
But usually we would say like, yeah, the movie theater.
We would
Sounds
say
really fancy.
go-
I think in actuality, the UK is the most different. Like, they share a lot of similarities. The UK sort of seems out on its own and sometimes shares with Australia, but never really with the US, other than the Flipflops.
to watch a film.
I-
I want to watch a film, but like that could be like on your computer or whatever.
When I think of film, I think of like black and white film.
Me too. It sounds like, yeah.
No, we never call it film. We just say movies.
We say movies, not film. No, film sounds like proper English. though. That's the
Exactly.
thing.
Sounds
Like
really
it's
fancy.
because we do our own thing. Like we know that you guys, you guys say the proper words for things. We're just like rebels, you know.
Yeah.
Phone?
In the US, we would call this cell phone.
In the UK, we would call it mobile.
I mean, mobile
or
phone,
mobile
but-
phone.
In Australia,
No one says mobile phone. So you just say phone.
we just call it a phone. Just a phone. Yeah.
Very simple.
Everything is
Phone.
short, like I said.
But what about like your home phone?
Phone.
Phone? How do you tell the difference?
I suppose if you wanted to be specific, you have your phone and then your mobile.
Why is the music so loud in the background?
In recent times, people only really use a mobile phone. They don't really use a landline.
That's what we call it too, landline.
A landline, which is the phone that's in your house.
Ah, right.
So, I mean, my house back in Australia, we don't have a landline, so everyone just has their phone, which would be their mobile phone.
Trolley.
In the US, we would call this like shopping cart or just cart.
In the UK, we would call it trolley.
In Australia, we also call it a trolley.
Oh.
Trolley.
Trolley like reminds me of like those above ground trains. Like in the US, if we hear trolley, like it would be like the those trains.
An overground?
Yeah, like yeah, like those two.
Yeah.
We wouldn't think of a cart
Oh.
or a trolley. Sorry.
Sandwich. right?
In the US, we would call it a sandwich.
In the UK,
it's a bougie looking sandwich though. This is one high-end sandwich.
we would say sandwich or sarnie.
No one says sarnie. I mean, I think it's a northern thing, a sarnie. I might be wrong actually. It's some part of England. I think my grandparents called them sarnies actually, but I've never said sarnie in my life. Never in my life.
Australia, we would say sandwich, or to shorten it, a sanger.
Go to the store and buy a sanger.
If it's toasted, it's a toasty, or a toasted sanger.
I don't know, we have so many words for sandwich. Like we have sarnie, we have bap, we have bread roll, we have...
What was the second one?
Bap?
Bap?
Yeah, or butty.
It's regional though, I think. Butty. Butty's more like chips though, isn't it?
I would say butty, B-U-T-T-Y. We actually would say more than sarnie now. Ham and cheese butty or like an egg butty. But it depends on each region in the UK has their own like word that they use.
Of course.
That's cool. Oh man,
Fringe?
that picture, girl. That was a bad mistake. In the US, we would call
bangs.
it bangs.
In the UK we would call
Fringe.
that fringe.
Yeah, that's the one.
In Australia, we call it a fringe.
I've heard fringe too, but we would usually just call it bangs. Yeah.
My German friend calls it a pony.
A pony?
A pony?
Then what's this one?
Ponytail?
Tail? Okay.
I wonder where bangs came from though.
Bangs. I don't know. I can't really. I can't say.
Because you look banging.
Or not in that case.
Not. In the US, we would call it a drugstore.
In the UK
Pharmacy,
we would call it
chemist.
a chemist.
In Australia, we call this a pharmacy. It's just me, but when I think of drugstore, because in Australia, drugs equals like drugs. So I'm thinking of like, you know, methamphetamine, marijuana being sold in a store.
Gotta edit that out.
You can just beep, 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 beep.
When
But
I hear,
that's what I think of drugstore because for us we call it medicine. Drugs is like drugs.
yeah, I think we in the US we call it medicine or drugs.
Not the drugs.
Yeah, but when I hear chemist, I think of like a scientist in the lab, like making some, you know.
Yeah.
That's what I think of with chemist.
McDonald's?
This actually,
Mackey's?
it depends on
Oh, they're going for the slang. So yeah, slang in the UK is Mackey's.
where in the US, because there are also slang for this, but we would call it McDonald's in the US, or my parents and my friends, we would call it like Mickey D's.
Mickey D's.
Mickey D's.
Mickey D's.
I don't know if that's like an East Coast thing, but yeah, Mickey D's.
In the UK, we would say McDonald's or McDonald's, but also like America, we have different slangs. Like I personally would say Mackey's because I come from the north of England, but I guess some other people call it like, I don't know, I forgot the word.
In Australia we call this Macca's. Go for a Macca's run.
Oh.
Do you not say McDicks, or have I imagined that? Is that not a thing?
I think I think yes, but I think it's like kind of like trolling a little, you know, like
Like people know what they're doing. It's
let's
like
go to
ironic.
McDicks.
Okay.
all right. But yeah, like I know, like in the East Coast, I remember my parents, we would say Mickey D's.
Oh, we would also say Mackie D's. That was the other
Mackie
word that I
D's,
was thinking
Mickey
of,
D's.
Mackie D's.
In
Lollipop?
the US, we would call this candy.
Oh, sweets.
In the UK, we would call these sweets.
In Australia we call these lollies.
Lollies.
Lolly?
Well, lollies for me is more like the jelly type, and then if it's like a hard candy, we would call it candy. But just in general, they're all lollies.
The chewy ones are the lollies.
Chewy lollies. I mean, I call everything lollies.
Lolly. If I hear lolly, I just think of like the lollipop.
Lollipop, yeah.
Maybe that's all we had.
That would confuse me if I went to Australia.
They give you like a jelly snake. It's like, have a lolly.
Yeah.
Where's my lollipop? I learned some new words today. I'm like, I learned some new words. Yeah, for sandwich and yeah, some different McDonald's. McDonald's words for McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I always like, hearing new words. I'm especially learning new words for Australia.
Definitely. Yeah, of course. I was actually surprised how almost in between there were some similarities with the UK, some similarities with the US, and then some things we've just obviously
Some crossovers
completely made up.
Even some similarities with the UK and the US, which is the one that I wouldn't have expected at all. It's so funny when the American and British words are somewhat close, and then just complete chaos when the Australians use. The phrase "I lost my thong" or "I lost my thongs" would be completely normal in Australia. And then there's people who learned English as a foreign language and just mix up all the slangs and accents together and just say what comes to their minds first. That's fair enough, to be honest. As a foreigner whose English is not their first language, you realise English is just all over the place. Some is American, some is British, and don't forget to sprinkle some Australian and maybe Canadian and God knows what more on top. Yeah, it's just fascinating to see the differences. I think the general language is the same. It's just these small differences, right? But it is what it is. It's cultural. And again, there's differences even in just different areas of England. So of course there's going to be differences in different countries and all that kind of stuff too. But it's fascinating seeing this. Hopefully you enjoyed, and until next time, I subscribe. Peace.